We're good? Okay, let's start. So, my name is Al Rieder. I am the director of the North Carolina chapter for CAIR. Been here about just over 3 years now. Today's presentation is about something of a specific recent pattern. Anti-Muslim hate is not only rising as individual prejudice, the sources that we have show it is being amplified through online discrimination, official rhetoric, government action, and election year political strategy. Okay, so we already discussed CAIR. Basically, we do legal services only for discrimination cases. We do policy advocacy, which means we work with government officials, and we do community education as shown here today. Okay, so let's begin with the question: when does prejudice become policy? Someone saying something hateful online is bad alone, but the sources we are looking at describe something larger. Online narratives are being repeated by government officials. They connected to investigations, bills, caucuses, immigration enforcement, funding threats, and attacks on Muslim civic life. CAIR, on a national level, we've described in 2025 as a year when government actions and official rhetoric treated Muslims and people who speak up for Palestinian human rights as suspicious and outside protected religious and civic life in American society. So, let's go through some numbers here. So CAIR received just shy of 9,000 cases in 2025 alone. That's a record, either from sheer number or from per capita of Muslims in the United States. We have not had a year this bad of anti-Muslim discrimination in the United States of America at all, including 2001, including 2002, including 2003. This is worse. This is factually worse. Now, we've been tracking this since 1996, and on, again, per capita basis and on a sheer number basis, it is the highest we've ever seen. 2026 is about to break that record again. Okay. Of those cases, it's just over 1,000 employment discrimination cases, just over 500 immigration asylum cases, 500 hate incident cases, just over 500 incarceration right cases, and just under 500 watch list and travel cases. So, how's it compared historically? So, post 9/11, the dominant theme in Equality Lab's manually coded data set was a Muslim invasion or a demographic threat. That matters because this frame does not treat Muslims as neighbors with rights. It portrays ordinary Muslim visibility as a threat. Our masajid, our Arabic signage, hijab, prayer, civic participation, and political representation. Equality Labs also found themes around Sharia investigations of Muslim organizations such as CAIR, such as MAS, such as a bunch of other groups, Islamic, et cetera, deportation, rise of deportation, incompatibility with America as an idea, the dehumanization of Muslim neighbors, the criminalization of being Muslim, and the usage of holy war language. Okay. So, I'm going to skip question for sake of time. Okay. Well, February 2025, we saw the spark. February to March 2025, Governor Abbott out of Texas amplified claims about a Muslim-led development near Dallas, framing it as through the language of Sharia, quote unquote. March 2026, we have data sets that show how far the campaign has escalated. We don't have more recent data since March 26th, though, as of yet. The Center for Study of Organized Hate found that what began as a single post in February of 25 grew into more than 260 posts per month by government officials specifically by March 20, involving dozens of course, government officials from multiple states, as mentioned prior. The story is not only that anti-Muslim rhetoric appeared, it is that it's been accelerated, organized, it's the key word organized here, and reached new height, peaking into the 2026 midterm election environment. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. A lot of data, a lot of words. What do we think could be the possible reason as to why this lead up to an election matters in this data set? Okay. If we're seeing a spike in anti-Muslim rhetoric, and that spike is correlated to an election coming up, what's the conclusion there? Okay, war with Iran, yes. Yeah, that's an angle. We're talking about domestically, though. Domestically.
It's polarizing these right-wing groups, so-called right-wing groups, in favor of.
Okay. I can't explicitly say who is doing what, okay, as a nonprofit, but I will say that there are people out there who have been on record saying that we are, as a community, a convenient boogeyman, okay? We are a way to motivate votes, motivate people to vote. I'll leave it at that for now, okay? The sources show a feedback loop we've been seeing. A false claim against our community will start online. It is then amplified by a public official. So for example, okay, let's say that some random person online says some really outlandish thing about this masjid. It's completely not true. A bunch of scary words like Sharia and invasion and whatever. Let's say he then retweets it, and then this has not happened specifically, this is an example, hypothetical, retweets it, and then says, you know, this is a really concerning thing. He's not saying this is true, but he's giving validity to a lie. He's giving validity to a lie. We see this pattern time and time and time again in the past year and a half now. Then follow that validity of that against the community, a proposed law against the community, a funding threat against that or a designation against the community. We at CAIR have said that civil rights violations increasingly occurred from government levels through executive actions, memos, proclamation, investigations, and threats, rather than openly discriminatory laws per se. And that has allowed the state, not North Carolina, but the state as a government, wherever you may be, to openly claim neutrality while raising the cost of Muslim participation in civic life. Okay. Timing is important. The posting of the date itself ends just before April of this year. So we can't really say anything about post-April per se yet until we come up with new data sets. But by April 26, the Sharia-Free American Caucus, who's familiar with the Sharia-Free American Caucus by chance? Okay. So very, very short context. There are members of Congress who've created a subgroup of Congress, a caucus, specifically designed to combat the issue of rising Sharia in this country. Does anyone think there's an issue of rising Sharia in this country? No. But it's a boogeyman. It's something to motivate people into anger, into fear, et cetera, et cetera. It's a motivating force. So the idea, again, what's that pattern? You have someone makes a crazy claim online, sees that claim, lifts that claim up and say, maybe it's a thing, maybe it's not, who knows, but it's really concerning, someone should look into it. And then a different public official or the same public official will then create a proclamation, a caucus, whatever, to say, we should really investigate that thing. This is happening on repeat over and over and over again, and it's hindering our ability to have our cemeteries, to have funding for our nonprofits, to have building of our projects in our community, additional annexes to our buildings, or a school, or what have you. All these things are being hindered by government oversight, which is itself being caused by rumors, lies. Okay? Okay. So as of April of this year, the Sharia-Free American Caucus in the U.S. Congress has grown to 62 members of Congress, okay, which is no small number. To my knowledge, it is solely Republican. It is solely Republican. The Sharia panic, okay, this term Sharia is the most commonly used term in this system here, okay? So we've explained on a national level that Sharia is a personal, moral, and spiritual framework for Muslims, comparable in function to canon law for Catholics or halakha for Jews, and not an alternative legal code overriding the Constitution. Duh. We know this, we're Muslims, we know this, okay? The Center for Study of Organized Hate says the Sharia conspiracy became the primary linguistic vehicle, the word Sharia, of the 2025 campaign after the Epic controversy. The point is not legal accuracy. The point is fear, making ordinary Muslim practice sound like a national security threat. Okay? So, in 2025 alone, on a national level, we had only documented, mind you, there are plenty more that's happened. We had 9 cases of damage or vandalism against masajid nationally, 12 cases of harassment against masajid, 9 cases of intimidation against masajid, and 3 cases of zoning issues to build what would have been a previously benign and acceptable project. She's trying to marry her brother. She's trying to, all these crazy claims, okay, that are completely false. And then somebody says someone should do something about that. And then the government responds by sending in ICE. ICE did not go to Minneapolis, of all places, out of this. Wants to go to Minnesota in the winter. Pick. That is a place that was targeted. They had a Muslim member of Congress from that state. That's why. Okay? So, what does data say about this moment? In recent document that CAIR had on anti-Muslim hate in Oklahoma specifically, an excerpt that we had, anti-Muslim sentiment has to be organized. We've been here before. This is still worse, but we also have a lot more experience now than we did back in, say, we have a lot more people now than we did, say, back in 03. Quality Labs recommend electoral disinformation as a civil rights and voter access issue. So the way you frame it in your day-to-day, whenever approached by this, by your kids, by your elected representative, by your boss, by your neighbor, whoever it is a civil rights issue, and it is it's a voter access issue. We can have stronger platforms. So online social media, random viral lies should not be able to amongst the community of the United States quickly without being fact-checked. If we see something online, we should try to fact-check. Protecting Muslim, our imams, our elected officials who are Muslim, we should be standing up for them if attacked. Epic gets attacked, we as a community should be standing up for him. Okay? If anyone else gets attacked, we should be standing up. If our imam locally, heaven forbid, his name would be put out there by somebody on Facebook and picked that up and said, well, that guy seems very. The first thing we should do as a community is aid. This is something that we're having to face here, okay? Funding networks, which is something on that cause something on a larger scale. We should pre-bunk misinformation, so we should do in our to explain these traditionally scary terms, what they actually mean to people. We should be raising our dawah efforts, raising our civic engagement, raising our interreligious dialogue. All those things should be really raised as well. And on the national level, CAIR, another organization, we're going to go out and litigate more, sue more, put public pressure on state and local power. Now, basically, question time here. Said is this whole presentation, is any of this information to mind of you happen to you or something happen? Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yes. So, like I was telling you earlier, give me a hard time with my first time. They say I'm taking too much. That shit, like, that's a big issue. And, you know, I should have combined my credit for them for a company that I'm working for. I don't understand. Like, if I'm like, that should be the only issue we bring. I can see they're doing something else, but if I'm going to praying to my Lord, like, then it should be a problem. And a lot of Muslim people that don't understand, they don't understand what Islam is about. They don't understand. They don't understand. Like, they don't understand. Like, you know, most of America is Christian, and you know, they have that issue when it comes out to Jesus, like, and they think that we don't believe in Jesus. That's not the thing.
It's about education.
Yeah, they're not educated about Islam. They don't know what Islam really means. They just
And that's on us. It's on us to protect you as CAIR, and it's on us to educate our community as well, our non-Muslim neighbors. The Dawah efforts in our country, I would say during the Obama years, we didn't have a lot of, we had discrimination, but we had a lower level where we were more generally accepted by society at that time as a Muslim entity in the United States society, that I feel like at that time we were more comfortable doing Dawah. I feel like ability doing Dawah, like we're a little scared to. Like we're scared to mention our deen to people. We shouldn't be scared. Mentioning our deen, explaining these concepts to people is what stops the boogeyman narrative against us. That's one of the things that stops it. Yes?
I think that there is some of the problems that facing the Muslim now, it is our own thing. Some of them. For example, like if I am working and the work allow me to pray, and I saw it happen. Say I'm praying the Zohr, مثلا. For Zohr, how long will it take? At the most, 10 minutes. But you see people taking half an hour, and this is not acceptable. So it is not against me praying, it is against the individuals who are abusing the situation.
And that does happen, but we also have to understand too that even if that's not happening, there are plenty of people out there who are still looking at someone praying and saying, hey, like, shouldn't be doing that, or they'll try to stop them from doing it some way. You know, they might not be as blunt to you to say that I don't want you praying, but they'll do some type of situation where we see a lot in CAIR, is we see people come in and basically say, hey, look, like, I don't want so much time off or whatever, but in cases where people are not exceeding 10, 20, 15, 30 minutes, you know? See what you're saying, but there are plenty of examples of people being faced with this. Anyone else have any examples of where they've seen spikes they've seen? It's a good thing if you haven't. It's a good thing, but we do see it a lot. So it says classroom, but really I mean it's applicable anywhere. What do you do if hate happens? Okay, Kimet. I need to know when you come to me with a case. Ideally, I want you to tell me when, who, how, where. I need to know all that stuff. You need to write that down, okay? I need you to report it. If you didn't go to your HR, to your board, you need to do that. It's great to come to us. You need to use existing the systems don't work, escalate it. Contact us, okay? Okay. Let's skip that here. So if we're kicked out of, who is there tomorrow, basically? You know, if we're being pushed out of civic life today by, let's say entities, that wouldn't be conspiratorial, but entities, people who don't want us to be in public life, that opens the door for them to do it to other people too. It's not just about us, it's about a president. If this happened to a people, sense of rights movement. We've made a statement this thing can happen again. Given it happened complicated. It's still going. Racism still exists. But we as a society made a conscious effort to lead to some. How many people here are actively registered to vote? Okay, raise your hands. Okay. That's roughly 85% of the room. Of the folks who don't have their hands raised, could you register to vote? Like if you do you have full citizenship basically? So of people who didn't raise their hand, can you raise your hand, please? Okay. Just one brother. So do you have full citizenship? No. Okay. Then we're good. We're good, alhamdulillah. So this is actually very good. Okay, I didn't expect that. That's actually pretty decent, alhamdulillah. Okay. So with all of this to be said, the biggest thing now is I want to take the that I'm visiting and I want to educate them. I want to help them if they have cases they need help with, and I want to motivate people to go out and do the dawah and be politically involved. That's our biggest thing. I want you to take away tonight. I know there's a lot of scary stuff. I know it's like the sky is falling, but at the end of the day, we have a duty for our posterity, for our children, for them to grow up in a world for them. It's qadr for us. It's providence for us that we were put in this time in this moment. We may not like that, but there's also a lot of things to do. If you're facing it, you have to face it. You can't ignore it. We're not accusing this community in particular here. Trust me, wallahi, I'm not doing that. But as a Muslim community in the United States, they're not stepping up to the level that we need to combat this misinformation about us. We need to be out in the community. We need to be out doing dawah. We need to be out meeting with elected officials. All those things. If you're interested in the elected official part, I can help with that. Let me know, okay? So I'll wrap that up. If anyone doesn't have any questions or concerns, we'll... Yes. Yes.
Now, look at here.
Mm-hmm.
It was announced. You've been announcing it for and look at attendance tonight. How to get your own community? How to motivate your community to show up for this type of gathering, to come and listen and follow, protect? But everybody knew what happened in San Diego, and everybody knew the topic of tonight's lecture. But I'm really disappointed to see only a handful of people. How to motivate your community in coming forward and supporting all these causes?
I will say the turnout here was better than Raleigh. What did you say? Islamic Association. This was more than twice the amount per capita that they appeared at the masjid in Raleigh. And I'll say this. Horn here. There was a moment where it was very early on in my career. I was going by the Rocky Mountains for the very first time. Random like weeknight or something, okay? And rolling into there were more people percentage-wise of that masjid that showed up to Maghrib in that small community, that tight-knit community, just to drink chai after prayer and hang out with each other than I've ever seen at IAR. Not to knock IAR. I love IAR. I go to IAR. I love IAR. But I'm saying when the pond gets too big, I feel like we're losing that sense of community, you know? I think with the smaller masajid here in Greenville, in Rocky Mount, in Wilson, what have you, there's still that community because you can't lose that when you're still smaller. But as you get bigger, which mashallah the community, I saw Jumish today. It was packed. I had to park 3 blocks away, you know? As the community gets bigger though, you have to do more to maintain that, you know? By default, the current size of the community allows for engagement. It's not ideal, but we're even seeing tonight how packed Jummah was, but it's not packed now, okay? But it's still more per capita than other places because it's still small, because the community is still small. But as the community gets bigger, there has to be a concerted effort by everyone in the community to know everyone as best you can and to involve them. You weren't here tonight. Where were you? Remember the hadith about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there was that elderly woman that was always at the masjid, and one day he didn't see her. Where was she? First thing, let's go check in on her. You know, that's the level of intimacy with our neighbors, like that level of knowing each other that we need to live. That's sunnah we need to live. And it's easy to do when your community is still small, but it's a lot harder to do as your community gets bigger. You know, it takes effort. So I will say, as today, I think it's because I think it's because of that. But I'm proud of the fact that you still have that community. It's been there for a while now, but someone finally figured it out. Someone saw on Google Maps that existed. So now it's attracting hate. Because again, this cycle, they scare Muslims, they make up something, and then it creates a big commotion. My fear is for any masjid in the state that I am in level of hatred. Because no one wants to be faced with that. Because at the end of the day, those two shooters in San Diego, they would have not done what they did if they had known the community. They wouldn't be down these rabbit holes on these like dark holes and everything if they'd had real life people pulling them out of that. And sometimes it takes that. And sometimes maybe that's not enough. Sometimes it still happens anyways. And that's when security measures come in. In Raleigh, what we did was that after San Diego, we met with our mayor, and we basically said, here are all the masajid in town, and how can we fix our security issues? Well, she said, fine, we'll get the police, and we're going to have them reach out to every single one of these masajid. Do it. Contact me. I can make it happen, okay? So I say all that to say, San Diego, I was there. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. But the security measures they had in place kept it from getting that bad. There were 3 martyrs we had there, 8 people in the hospital, okay? Plus the 2 shooters who killed themselves afterwards. Of those 3 martyrs, one was the security guard. Everyone familiar with the story of the security guard there? And he had 2 options when the shooters came in. On one hip, he had his gun. On the other hip, he has walkie-talkie. In an instant, he could have pulled the gun and shot one of the shooters, or he could have pulled his walkie-talkie out and locked down the school that was there, a K-8 Islamic school. You know what he did? He took the walkie-talkie. He was murdered, but before he was murdered, down the school. So that one action was a security measure that they had, that they planned for. They knew about this. Hopefully they never had to ever use. But because they had the plan, he saved countless lives of children that were in that building that these shooters can no longer get into the classrooms with. That's what I mean. So it's really important right now for us to A, be preemptive and stop this hate before it happens. And if it does happen, have the security measures to halt it from getting worse. Okay? That's what I'm going to leave with today. I saw another couple hands, but I don't know where they're from. I forgot where they're from. If anyone said comments or questions. But, okay. Alhamdulillah. We'll leave with that then, inshallah. Thank y'all so much for tonight. I appreciate it immensely. And these are a way to contact us. Our only real social media is our Instagram account. So if you have Instagram, please follow. It's literally just CAIR North Carolina. And if you need to report a case to us, the best way to do that is https://www.cair.com/report/. Or you could Google CAIR report and the first result in Google. So, yeah. Hopefully you never have to use the resource, but we're a resource. And also, the imam has my number, the board has my number, so if you ever need to get a hold of us, you don't know how to get a hold of us, just ask the board, ask the imam, and I'll be more than happy to give you a call, inshallah. Yes?
When one of the CAIR members came to Morgantown Masjid, he brought some, they were like, and it was like folding in different lengths.
Mm.
You put it in your wallet.
Yes.
It has all the information, and he brought the Arabic one because
Mhm.
there were a lot of Arab people
Yeah.
in Morgantown. Keep in their wallet with
Mhm.
and everything. So have
we can order some for you. Absolutely. I'm going to grab your phone first, but my name is Al, A-L. Al from CAIR, C-A-I-R. The number is 919-539-599. 919-539-599. Yeah, give me a call anytime you need me. I'm here, support for the community. Inshallah, again, you never have to use me, but. So, yes. But yeah, so inshallah, yes, 919-539-5799. Inshallah, next time I come, I would love to see, I would really love to see more of the community out here. I know it takes a village. It takes a village to pull everybody together, but inshallah, now that you know this information, when somebody says, you know, I feel it's really bad right now with discrimination, you can tell them why. And you can also tell them how to get a hold of us. And you can also mediate this stuff before it becomes an issue. And you now have the tools to request a security audit from the city of Greenville as well, if that's something that the masjid wants to pursue, inshallah. So.
One question. So, what are the measures we should take if we face any challenges or issues during the
But
what are the measures which we should take if we face any issues during the local government within the land?
within America, contact us. Yeah, honestly, yeah. If you have, if somebody like, so like a TSA, you mean, like someone like.
We have heard they are also searching the laptops. They are also searching the.
We have a separate presentation. Have me back, inshallah. I can do a separate presentation from ICE. But just we had a number of people coming back from seeing family overseas, etc. U.S. citizen, you're anywhere. Unless they have a warrant, you don't have to give them your phone. You don't have to lock your phone. They will hold you for. No, you have to give them your phone. You do not have to. If you're that is. Yeah. We'll come back into that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stop by any. Give us a contact us. All that stuff, okay? And again, remind stuff's free. CAIR is, if you reach out to me, I will attempt to make sure during business hours they will expedite it if it's an emergency. But if it's like, if it's not 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, it will not be responded to by lawyers until Monday, 9 to 5, sadly. Yeah. That is one limitation, it is a nonprofit, so we have some limitations there, sadly. But it's best practice if you know you're traveling and you know that your transfer time between a domestic flight and a national flight, like say JFK or Newark, wherever, Atlanta, wherever international destination you're going through to get back here to Greenville or RDU, it's best practice during that transfer period, if it is outside of our work hours, to have a lawyer's contact ready in case you need to contact a lawyer in emergency. But generally speaking, if you're a U.S. citizen, unless you're being detained, there's no reason you need to contact us immediately. Just when you get home, contact us, okay? But I'm doing that.
So do we get a lawyer, like a private lawyer, or we just come straight to you?
Come straight to us. If it's an emergency and our hours are closed, you can get a private lawyer. But there's very few things I would truly call an emergency that can't wait till 9 to 5 on Monday, Friday. Yeah, but you can still always call me. You can always call me. I'll make sure it expedited as soon as we can. But my phone's always here. So, yes.
From what you talked about, I picked up that any community like our other mosques, if they haven't done, you advise that don't put it on a social media, right?
I didn't say that in this presentation, but I think that's a wise thing. If you have an internal board issue, I would say don't post on social media. Yeah, I think that's probably a wise thing. Yeah, but I mean, look, I think it's best kept to private if you have something going on with. Time to do that. Thank y'all so much. I'll be here for several more minutes. I already combined Maghrib and Isha, so it's Isha, but I'll be here if y'all want to y'all individually. So, thank y'all.